All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel and my very first live stream. My name is Joel Budu, and I'm a tech enthusiast and senior software engineer by profession. I'm currently based in the UK doing a master's degree in artificial intelligence and its applications at the University of Strathclyde, and I did my bachelor's degree at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana. So I've realized that technology is heading into a world heavily based on technology and is moving at a supersonic speed. And I'll be engaging in insightful conversations with various experts, both in the tech industry and other industries as well, on trending topics and also interact with you as well. So on this maiden edition of the Tech Confab show, I will be talking with a very good friend of mine, and he goes by the name Henry Cobblah. He is an e-founder of the Alibaba Group, and the topic would be on using technology in tracking COVID-19. So I would like you to join the conversation as we have this discussion on how various countries are employing innovative uses of technology in battling this current global pandemic. I'd like you to comment in the comment section your name and where you are viewing this stream from. You can say hi, just let's be interactive today. And Henry is on the line, and I'm gonna connect with him shortly. Thanks, everyone. All right, Henry, can you hear me?
Hey Joel, how are you?
Yeah, Henry, it's been a really long time, man. Long time.
I know, I know. How have you been?
Yeah, we haven't spoken like this, over 8 years, right?
It's I think six rather. But I
Six
think that we've
years,
just
right?
been doing
Back on
interactions.
campus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so I can see Brian Williame, Richmond, Samuel, Dennis, Dade, you're welcome. Kojo, yes, everyone, welcome to the show. Let's be interactive. We are going to, I'm going to allow us to, contribute via the comment section. Feel free to ask a question when you want to. You can make any contribution in the comment section, and we'll flow today. It's going to be a very interactive session with Henry. We're just going to have a discussion on technology and in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic that we find ourselves in right now. Yeah. So Henry, welcome once again. Can you just briefly introduce yourself to my viewers?
All right. Well, okay. So I thought you were going to do that. Okay. All right. So
Go
so my
ahead.
name is Henry Cobblah, and I basically went to computer science in tech, and then also did my master's in health informatics, same in tech as well. Over the years, I've actually dedicated myself to building solutions for Africa. So, very first company I built was called, or it's called I Solve Africa. It's actually a short firm for innovative solutions for Africa. Over the period, what we've just been doing is that we've been looking at building solutions, which is going to be helping people in the tech industry, especially for Africans. So um, the very first solution, which I think we threw out there, was Harinafa, which was a marketplace for African fashion. We've basically had close to like 800 people or vendors selling from five different African countries. So we're still on with that project, and then I think that the other project as well, which is into health and also into freelancing, basically in the system which we're running on. So
All right. Wonderful, Henry. So I want us to kick off the conversation right off the bat. We all know, on Monday, the government of Ghana released a new application, which is, dubbed the GH COVID Tracker. Uh, yeah, that's the name of the app, and it's
yeah,
been made available for Android users to start with. They say iOS users are gonna get theirs very soon. I was really disappointed, even though I'm not in Ghana, but I was
right.
disappointed that we're so badly
Well,
neglected. You use an iPhone, right?
Yeah, no, but iOS is difficult to sort of develop. It takes a bit of time, so at least I can understand it.
Yeah, but I mean, there are still a number of iOS users in Ghana. So I mean, are you saying that we shouldn't be part of what's going on?
They should use USSD.
Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah, so on that note, what do you think of this, the use of technology in Ghana, like to combat this disease and this virus? Do you think this method is going to be effective? In essence, basically, those of us that may not know, it's basically a data collection tool, and it's a survey that collects information on various symptoms that you may have gotten over the past, let's say, 14 days, and basically based on those responses they are going to give you a risk factor of whether you are likely to have the virus or not, and basically that would advise health professionals and healthcare workers to attend to you when needed. So Henry, what do you think of this move by the
yeah.
Ghanaian government? Do you think it's going to be effective?
All right. So I think first of all, it's a recommendable step which they took. So because I realized that they're putting in a lot of interventions just to help protect the citizenry in that regard, to be able to be safe, sort of. So I think that it's actually a very first and a good step for them. But I think that just like you raised the issue about iOS, there are just quite a number of issues with it, and that might just be possibly what we might just run through quickly. So I think I actually had the first-hand experience looking at the app, digesting it, sort of decoupling it and seeing what's in there. I think that for what it is, to track and help them to be doing enhanced contact tracing, I think is the best mode, and it should be encouraged. But however, I think that looking at it from a surface, rather than building a whole new app to do that, already we had a government application which is already running, and so I was just thinking that the simple update to do that
Sorry, which
application
which
would have just
government
been easy.
which government app are you referring to right now?
The GPS, Ghana Post
Um,
GPS app. So
yes.
that's an app which is supposed to, and from that app we had a lot of communication about it, that it's going to be able to provide APIs for banks and other things to track people and all that. So inherently, it's actually an app which does sort of the same thing right from the go. And so simple updates to that app would have just been, easy. I've gone through that process of putting it on an unsecured server where you have to get people to download. So now, if I download and there's an update to the app, what do? I have to go back to the app, go download it, uninstall what I already have, and then now put it back again. It's a lot of time, and I think that it might not necessarily have been the way to go. If we had just updated what was on the Play Store, it would have just been easy. Coupled with it, permission issues and all. But I think that all true. There's been a lot of talk about it, and let's hope that the government sort of will listen to what's going on, and then be able to use this too. Because I think that apart from anything, it's actually a government tool. People trust the government so much that they would be willing to put in any data that the government is asking them for. And so it's sort of also in the right direction that the government is going to make sure that it puts in all its data protection act into actions, just to make sure that every information that it's able to gather is supposed to be used for what it is, and then also to protect the citizenry. I think it's a good way to go. They're doing well, but I think that just one or two things on the side. But it's actually understandable as well, because the times we are in, it's just calling for immediate solutions. But that comes to me as if the times we are in are calling for that immediate solution, then there were other applications which were developed by Ghanaians and were in that full capacity to be adopted and used. And if there were any point of spending money, these Ghanaians would have sort of, if not benefits, built their capacity to be able to use their tools which they've been able to build to help you. But all the same, I think that it's a very good initiative which they're putting in place, and we could support it.
Yeah. I mean, Henry, we both know, and I just saw a comment from someone. He's saying, "Let's be honest and speak truth to authority. That the app is crappy and useless, and the idea was in the right direction, but execution is bad." And I think a lot of people in the tech community in Ghana, would agree to this. And if you ask me, first of all, the domain that was hosted on, um, it's a generic domain. Like, it's not a .gov. It's not like a Ghanaian domain. The servers that the data is being hosted on is not in Ghana. It's in the US somewhere, and so that's where your data protection stuff that you are talking about also comes in. How do we know that
Yeah.
data is actually going to be used for what is its intended purposes? And how do we know that somebody is not spying on us? Because that's really sensitive information. I mean, you open the app and they're asking you for your phone number and your email, and these are the most critical, personal data points that you can imagine. Once I have that information, I have that link, I can easily, hack you simply. And I'm sure we have a lot of security experts even in the chat. Brian William is one. He will tell you that that's a serious flaw, man.
No, I understand. I think that I one of the ethical hacking tools which I used relatively could just use your phone number to sort of find everything about you. Emails could just find your date of birth. I could see where you're working, your network, and everything. So it's easy to use such information, just phone emails, to get to people. So I understand the concerns that's there. I might not necessarily put a judgment on it, because I understand what really goes into development as well. And especially when you have people in government who are not tech experts, relatively any solution that's thrown to them that makes sense in their ears at the time where it's thrown to them, sort of, is that. So I might not necessarily put a judgment on it as whether it's good or bad. I think that the idea perfectly works. I've seen a lot of these, even Google and Facebook basically are taking that same initiative, and so that means that that's sort of the way to go. The implementation possibly is not the way I might expect it, but it depends on sort of the resources that's available to the government at the time and what they've been previewed to. I wouldn't have gone in for it. I wouldn't go in for it at any point in time for that solution, because it's just a one-time sort of thing. If you send a Google Forms out to people to fill, I think it will make it easier for people to even use that to sort of gather the data. But we sort of, I think that it's a learning community, and I think that one of the things that we're learning from this is that we in the tech industry should be able to sort of realize that the government is getting into the tech world, and so we already having knowledge of these things should be able to be the firewall to safeguard against some of these things, because you might possibly think that they're doing, to them they are doing great achievements, and to people who are sort of foot soldiers, they would be holding the fort for them. But to us as the entrepreneurs and tech people, we know that it's actually an upside for it at all. So what we should be doing, I think, going forward is that we should be standing into some of these things and safeguarding against some of these mistakes that's rendered.
Yeah, Henry, you mentioned a good point there, and you are talking about the potential, and I share the same thoughts. There's a huge potential that Ghanaian developers have, and the Ghanaian tech industry has, and there are numerous companies that have already built solutions, like ready-made solutions that have stood the test of time for many years. Open World is one, and where I used to work at Farmerline. Farmerline has a robust data collection tool that is even used in rural areas and all that. And
Yeah.
basically all these solutions, and even Ghana Tech Hub recently did a hackathon, basically to solicit for ideas, to get people that already have solutions and people that are ready to build solutions within the shortest possible time, both in technology and medicine and other industries as well. So it's really surprising that we didn't like we are not seeing any of these advancements being adopted by government. I think it's appalling, Henry.
Yes, so I basically, like I mentioned, I'm not going to put in the performance test for the government here. What I'm looking forward to do is that, look, we the tech industry people should realize that there's a different thing called politics away from what we sit behind our PCs to code. And so the politics of the day basically is always going to win on behalf of the government. So what do we as developers, as entrepreneurs should be doing? We should basically be coming together and realizing that we could be putting a lot of effort in pushing forth these solutions. I'm sure if because on the very first day that Opine World sent me, this was sent me when I had knowledge of Opine World when it was like 2, okay, and I sent it across a lot of board, and just about 2-3 people just jumped onto it, just filled the form and just put in their location. Now that was not support from the ordinary people. If the people are not supporting their own product, the government relatively is just going to be on the forefront of just sourcing out anything it feels like is going to solve the problem. And so we, the people, definitely need to start changing our mindset to the way we approach the things that are built. I know a lot of solutions that are being built by huge amounts of people. How many people are on Haptel, for instance? How many people are on Express Pay, for instance? But this is simple payment solutions that we should all be using. I don't think that the government should be going through gifts to build a QR systems for payment, something like that. Whilst there are solutions. When Haptel started interoperability, it was way back.
Yeah.
But the government makes a whole big deal to now make it like it's the government's achievement. But Haptel, Express Pay, Slide Pay, a lot of guys were doing these things way before. So how many of us supported them when they were doing these things? And this is just one out of a lot of examples. So I think that the very first point that we need to do is that we, the citizen, we need to start or realizing that we need to start supporting the tech industry by default. And for that, it would be worth the call, because anytime if Open World had been all over, I'm sure they would have just given them a call, okay, regardless of any political sentiment. But relatively, because it was just silent, then it feels like, hey, who's going to be able to do that? And when it gets down to a pitch, you should realize this thing. People always will find their way to just make sure that they get the deal. And that's the thing. So it starts with us. It starts with how easy, we would push. And I could give you an example. As when I started running around, there were people in Ghana who would just say, "Oh, it's a good idea," but for them to sign on it was a difficult game. I get to Kenya and then I get like just around like running around just 2 cities. I get close to like 200 designers signing up without thinking, without caring where I am from or whatever it is. And so if we get that massive support for almost all the tech projects that are running around directly and we make a big deal about it, the government would have no option but to stick with some of these solutions. And I think that would be the best way to go.
Yeah, for sure. I can see in the chat section there's a little bit of a discussion. Samuel Elliott and David. Basically, someone was saying that even if you try, they basically won't listen. And Ghanaian tech companies have been making noise. They've been putting themselves on social media. They've been marketing themselves, but still, they're still not getting any good results. Can you just talk about this just briefly for a minute, and then we can move on? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that like there's the same point I'm making now. Our NFS has been making the same thing, pushing, but it's just always Henry, right? Do we have a force? Do we have a tech industry? Have we built that force ourselves that whenever there are projects, we're going to do serious scrutiny, submit projections and ideas to the government on the project? Because every project just comes and passes through and that's it. So we ourselves need to just find a way. Do we have a developer group? How do you call this kind of groups? Now I know that there's a telecom chamber which is there. There's a tech chamber which is coming up sort of, but that then becomes the force. No one person pushing the agenda. It becomes all of us pushing the agenda. You get my point. So for me, the government, like I said, is a difficult political game they always play, especially when it gets down to elections and everything. Leave them to do what they're doing because they have the money and they can throw it into anything they think is right. But then we, the beneficiaries of the solutions, would be, because look, let me just give you a simple example. I just told people that, look, when you are on the app, just be careful. And I had people who just insulting me right, left. And these are intellectuals, people that should be able to get into an intellectual discourse to understand that this guy is making 1, 2, 3 points on the app. We are just, permissions. So what Facebook gives me, I give same permissions to Facebook. And they don't listen to the core of the conversation. You get the point? And they just make business arguments. So it starts with us. The government has not even spoken about the app. It just launched it and it's supposed to be used. That's it. But we, the citizenry, are just now divided over simple solutions, which we should be coming together and pushing. And that's why I think that this is the beginning of the problem. If we can come together, push together, and put our solutions on the map, it would be easier and government will have no option but to adopt these solutions.
Well, yeah, that's some great insights. I see Elliot Minka just said there's Dev Congress, and basically quite a number of communities in Ghana that have developers, and there's a lot there are lots of them actually. So anyway, I think we
So
can move on to we can move on
a
to
lot of
something else.
people will be shocked. There are lots of solutions. Like this COVID, a lot of people are doing stuff. And it will shock you that a lot of them are getting external funding, not internal funding. You get the point. So sometimes you just sit and you just marvel. you know, you just marvel. But at the end of the day, it's a tech world, it's a competitive world.
All
Somebody
right,
wants to make money. Do something.
yeah.
So
All right, so Henry, let's move on now. China, the current global pandemic, right? It started in China in, let's say, November, December, right? And
November.
they yes, according to the official records, they climaxed at about 80,000 recorded cases,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basically it's basically plateaued there and it's slowly declining. And they were able to achieve that within 11 weeks. And currently, the West is actually struggling. If you compare the numbers in US compared to what China even had, you can't even compare. It's like comparing a mountain to a hill. And
Sure.
it goes to say that, and it's not the same with China. You realize that a lot of these Asian countries, you look at Singapore, Japan, South Korea, it's like they have some secret weapon that they're using to just combat the thing within the shortest possible time. And the US is literally struggling. I mean, the number of cases in the US right now is over 600,000. And comparing
Yeah.
600,000 to 80,000 in China, and now globally the numbers crossed 2 million just yesterday. So what's
Million.
and I know that China probably using some advanced technology in combating this. And I know you've been in China for some time. Can you tell us about China and how they, the systems they have in place and basically how they use technology in combating the virus?
So first of all, I should say that this whole pandemic and everything that's going on with it, for me, I see it as just war. Okay, that's the very first point I'm making. The reason is this: look, China basically had gone through the same scenario for like 4 or 5 times. It's not new to China. Okay. Now the very first thing I learned when I went to China was that Alibaba became Alibaba when SARS was discovered. Okay, and so you'd realize that that company basically had to learn how to leverage on technology when they had SARS. Now there's been a lot of other swine flu, H1N1 coming in and all that, and so this is a very not new phenomenon to them, and so they're sort of easier to combat it in terms of the technologies that is around. If you look at the numbers, you'd realize that it's Hubei that basically had the numbers. But if you look at a place which is so saturated, a lot of serious, what do you call it, transactions going on and everything, Shanghai, Hangzhou, these are reporting numbers way below 500. And
Yeah,
that's serious because, like, we're talking about 1.3 billion people, and just about 500 people are just contracting within a place like, let's say, New York in China. And that's crazy. So I think the very first thing that triggers to me is that there are lots of technologies that's used. The communism in China basically leverages on the what do you call it, the social score of people. So what the government of Ghana is trying to do is already what China has already been doing for years. They've actually gathered the whole data of citizenry. They know where you are. They know what you're doing. They know your bank account. They know what transactions you're doing. They know your travel history. They sort of know everything on technology. Okay, and these are just everyday life for a normal Chinese. And so doing contact tracing sort of in China wouldn't take like 30 minutes for a person who's contracted COVID, because then they already have the tools. They know who you're talking to, who you're meeting, where you've been to in a day. And I think that that's one of the things which is helping them to combat this virus, because then they're using technology, quite a lot of technology. In terms of things as to um, we in Africa basically are just using cash every time. But then in the Chinese economy, they don't use anything at all, whether checks, no cash, no credit card, nothing. All we just do is QR code. And so if I'm in the US and I'm transacting a business, I'm using my credit card. It's a mode of transmission. In China, I don't use a credit card. I use my Alipay or my WeChat Pay. I do the transaction. I just send the money to you instantly. You get the money and you go. So there's just a lot of technology that surrounds them as Chinese, that leverages on them being able to avoid a lot of contact. The general Chinese wouldn't greet you every day. They will basically just do a bow for you. So that culture had already been incorporated into their system for my very first what you can then. It was delivered to me in just 30 minutes from a place like let's say Kaneshi to Achimota. And it just took like just around 20 minutes. It was a drone that delivered it. I just only had to do a QR code scan, and that was it. You get the point. So
Yeah.
this, I think that relatively is what they have been building, and that's the effect of pushing a lot of technology into the system. And that's where we, the tech boys, have to start thinking about. So I'm not looking at just some app that the government just threw in just because we had a conflict of a disease coming in, but what's the bigger picture? How is the data that's being collected by NIA going to be used? How is it going to ensure social scoring? How is it going to ensure that people are paying their taxes and all that? So there's a bigger picture, I think, that we here should be coming together to look at, because that's what China had gone through excessively well to do, because they are not just looking at data that is just collected at a period. You're looking at data that is collected at a whole. You're getting the point. The
Yeah.
Ghana Post GPS like this is a very good app. It's actually being forced on us to use
Yeah.
now because we have to do the ID card. Everybody's now jumping on that app because you need to get that app before you can be able to register for the NI
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
So then,
And actually, from the comment section, Pastor Daniel Kuzi Barting even asked a question on that. I think you even talked about it earlier. We already
yeah,
have over 4 million people in Ghana who already have installed the application. So I mean, adding a simple survey to that would have been the best solution rather than having to let a whole bunch of people install a whole new app. And I don't even
exactly.
think so many people would install this app as compared to the number of people that install the Ghana Post GPS, because essentially you needed the Ghana Post GPS to actually do transactions and all that, right? So that really facilitated the national adoption of that application. And now, I am really uncertain of how effective this app is going to be. But then earlier on,
Um,
someone also was talking about the numbers in China, and
mm,
myself, I don't trust the numbers that they are claiming, because China already has a history of of hiding and lying to the rest of the world, and we saw that they did that even with when COVID came, they were lying about it, and they claimed that human to human transmission is not possible earlier on in the stages of COVID-19. If they had released that information earlier, the whole world might not have been suffering by now. I mean, it would have drastically reduced the spread of the virus. And I mean, there's a whole lot when it comes to conspiracy theories, whether they created a thing in the lab and what's not. And
yeah,
it's looking as if right now, even whether intentional or not, it is looking as if China is taking advantage of the situation, and is looking to become the next global superpower. Because right now the whole world's economy is crippled, and it's just China that literally they've recovered from what happened a couple of months ago, and they are looking at taking over the world. If you ask me.
Well, it's been the agenda of Chinese to take over the world. I don't think there's a hidden truth, because they are all over the place. Okay, so I don't think that we have to worry ourselves. I for once, have said it several times that our new colonial masters are going to be the Chinese. The simple reason is that it's just based on certain decisions that we are taking as a country. It's basically going to lead us there, indirectly or directly. So I don't think that it's a big deal. Looking at that, the numbers can be hidden. Chinese might not have been truthful about the numbers, but it comes to rather not get to the Chinese more, because look, Chinese are like 1.4 billion people. If they're reporting numbers of like 10,000, even if it is going way beyond that to like 50,000, that's 50,000 in 1.5, 1.4 billion people. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really nothing to them. You get the point, because look, this is a communist government, so they don't really care. But what I see then is it comes to expose us more in terms of our infrastructure, our commitment to development. It comes to really expose us more. And that's more like a wake up call for us as Ghanaians. And I always look at things in this way. It starts from me, it starts from you. You get the point, because there's a very simple solutions. I'm sure a lot of people have not raised questions about the data collection set for NIE and how it's going to be connected to the banks, how immediate that solution is going to be. Because we've had the Ghana Post GPS for like a long time. I've not seen a lot of the APIs being deployed for delivery companies, for fintech companies. I've not seen that vibrancy, and nobody really seems to be talking. We are not talking about it. It's only when we hear there's another vendor that's having a contract, then we start to be loud. But I think that it starts from us. It starts to expose our situation as Africans. Because I'm not even looking at the US, because they played with it and it's getting to them. They have systems, but it's still getting to them. Why is it getting to them? That might possibly be another thing we might talk about. But I personally think that it's another way where they're taking advantage of to make money, and that is the world we are in. You can't blame anybody. If I contract a disease and then it's transmitted to you and I'm able to solve my problem, I might pretend I'm sort of helping you, but I would possibly be making money. There are Ghanaians that are making money from this COVID, just doing sanitizers and other things. Whilst we're supposed to come together as people to help ourselves grow, reduce prices of products and everything. We rather trying to just exploit that to make ends meet. And I think that that's where it comes to expose us as humans. So going forward, I think that the best means is for us, number one, as tech industry, learner people, elite people, start asking questions and start pushing solutions that are around, because Chinese would every time pushing solutions. Like the whole world is sleeping now and their factories are blazing. And you can't blame them. Nobody can shut them down. You get the point. Nobody can shut them down.
Yeah.
So this is a military zone. It's a military tactics thing. We should be that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As much as it goes, it will come back to us. You get the point, because we had COVID surrounding all of our country, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Burkina Faso. Why didn't we just close as borders? Simple thing. But you might look at it simply, and an economist will look at it in a different way, a politician will look at it in a different way.
Yeah.
But that's a wake up call for us to see that, hey, how can we just now come together to be envisioning some of these things that could possibly come in? Because I'm not sure a Chinese would take a gun to point on your head that they're going to colonize you. No, they're going to come in a way that best fits their intelligence. So that's where we, the people that call ourselves developed intelligent people, should be thinking now. Like we should be up and thinking now.
All right. Great conversation, Henry. So now, obviously, this pandemic has obviously brought great change to society. Companies, employers, employees alike, individuals have had to make drastic changes to their way of life, and
Charlie,
um,
Charlie,
and and
Charlie.
and many businesses have had to shut down. While some are shutting down, some are booming. I mean, Amazon right now can't even keep up with the demand,
Crazy.
and they are looking at hiring 75,000 new employees to meet up with the demand. And basically, a lot of delivery companies and basically people that are delivering the essentials and a similar boat. So now,
Yeah.
Henry, let's talk about the changes that companies and individuals would have to make to their lifestyle to adopt to what is going on. And even if let's assume that we have peaked in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and let's just assume that the numbers start to decline. It doesn't mean that we are going to return to normal life anytime soon. There might be a reduction of restrictions gradually, but I think for a couple of months at least, there's going to be a significant change in the way people would have to live their lives. And so, what can you say about how professionals and individuals can, change the way they are working and living due to this situation?
Yeah, so I think that's another conversation that for a bit of a longer time I'd started having with a lot of people, wherein I was very excited when the curriculum for Ghana, the new curriculum they're trying to introduce, had portions where it starts to tackle technology right from the daycares to the kindergartens, which I think that is actually very good, because today 3-year-olds can use tablets like they're using what do you call it? Those times would be on nothing, but today these guys can do a lot. So I think that it's a conversation that we need to be serious about it. Other than that, we're going to have a lot of people lose their jobs. I don't think that people need to lose their jobs necessarily. No. With the advent of AI and big data, augmented reality, all these things that come around us, people still don't need to lose their jobs. I think it comes to the point where people need to start reorienting their mind to upgrading themselves to understanding things about technology. And I think I'll give you this example.
Yeah.
I gave my mom a phone, my dad a phone, and my mom basically was always asking me that, so you say you sell clothes and shoes and bags online. How do you do this? Because I don't even see you, with the bags and shoes and anything. You don't have a shop that talks about any of these things. And I just had to just get on the phone, take her through the process gradually, as difficult as it was, and get her to realize that people can make payment and buy things, and all we just need to do is just ship the product to them. It was a simple thing where she now came to understand it. But then at first she was just so scared because she thought that, my son is just basically in some what do you call it, dubious stuff on the internet.
Selling drugs,
The
right?
internet exactly. But the internet has been a fear for a lot of people. Look, I've been to companies where we were doing installation for them, and they are like, you would meet a boss of a company, and he's so scared to touch the mouse of the mouse on the table. He's scared, so the PC is in front of him, but he's not putting it on. I think that it comes to that point where we the tech people need to start talking about these things vigorously, using every channel that we would be getting. The banks now, all the banks in Ghana today. I wanted to deposit the check, and I had to check for the list of banks that are closed. Now, that's never really going to affect the banking industry, really, because people are transacting using the mobile applications. Okay, at a point, the mobile applications was just becoming a norm. Every bank was just bringing in a mobile
Mm-hmm.
application, but to a larger extent, it was really a solution that people needed to pay attention to, but people didn't. Now I move money from my mobile money into my bank account into my mobile money. I don't go to the bank again. If I issue a check, then it means I don't really like you. So yeah, if I issue a check, I don't really like you. I just want you to wait for like some 3 days before you're able to clear the check, or just give
Yeah.
you some assurance that I'll pay you. But relatively, I could pay you instantly. I move money from one bank account into the other account with no charges, and that's the way to go. Now there's somebody sitting at the teller thinking that she's going to be all bossy to just give me my money, which I'm putting in the bank. So it's a conversation which we need to. Some people will be offended with this conversation. They will not understand why we're talking about. You are there learning AI. Like, I'm sure when you come in, you would actually be pushing your effort into building 2 3 different applications. With your previous experience working in Farmline, I'm sure
Yeah.
if you get hold of Farmline systems, a lot of people are going to lose their farms, sort of, because you'll be using a lot of technology
Yeah,
to
the
to
robots
really
will be farming for us, right? There's no need for farmland.
exactly. Exactly. I have three plots of land that are I've not seen those plots of land before, but I know that I've invested this and I'm getting a plot of land, and then there is what do you call it, onions that are being planted, and so at every sale point in 3 months I am making this amount of money. I don't see the farm. I have never been to the farm, but I can tell you I'm a
Mm-hmm.
farmer. Really, because there's somebody who is using technology to guide me, to tell me how much yield he's able to make and how much profit he's going to be able to get at the end of every 3 months just planting onions. You get the point, and that's
Yeah.
the way to go. So but then however way it is, you can, if a farmer is using cutlasses and whatever it is to farm, he should be upgrading himself to using trackers or tractors and other things, which gets him more improved version. If you're planting in on the land, then you have to wait till fallow period and come back. Whilst there's greenhouse technology, and as a farmer, basic farmer, we can speak to you in basic languages, which you can now set up greenhouse. You're not going to lose your job. You can still be in business and plant, still be the farmer you are, and still go on. So I don't think that loss of job is going to be that massive, because that has been a trend coming forth even before the computers came in. There were people that were just lost their jobs, but relatively just went into the new millennium. So it's just going to be the same. But it's for people to start orienting themselves to realize that the pace of yesterday is not as today. It's like you have like uh, technology racing with us like no one's business, and that's what we have to start looking forward to, getting people to understand that the basic way to survive is to upgrade, continuous upgrade. I have been on a lot of groups where all the conversation that's just, so if you get to Twitter, like really just get to Twitter, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that a lot of people on lockdown are either talking about sexual conduct, as to you, they're just making sexual provocative comment, and all that. The mindset relatively seeks to approach is sex because it's a lockdown. How many people are on Coursera? How many people are learning what's the new tech in their industry? If I'm an accountant, what are the new accounting tools that are out there that are helping companies? Me, we run a lot of accounting in house, yet we don't have an accountant. So how do we
Exactly.
get our account? You get the point. Alibaba basically in 2018 was able to get 26.5 billion in one day. One day sales
5 billion, over
26
20
billion
billion in a day.
a day. Now, how do you think they
Whoa.
did that accounting? How do you think they did that? There was no accountant sitting on anybody's things processing payment. This is process payment using Alipay, and this Alipay is processing payment all over the world, everything, every day. You get the point.
Yeah.
So next time Hotel is rolling out a solution, if I'm an accountant, I think that I would rather go into a partnership with Haptel or what do you call it, Slide Pay. You get a point. Sorry, I'm mentioning
Yeah.
names, but it makes it practical, right?
Exactly.
I'll go
Yeah.
into a partnership with Haptel. I'll work to company, tell them that look, Haptel is providing payment solutions for you. I'll be your account. I wouldn't be sitting in your office, but pay me 500 to this. I'll come balance your books at the end of the month, and then I'll go. If I have 5 companies, all of them paying me 500 cities or 1,000 cities just to come balance their books and things and just walk off, and we have the technology handling that. I have a partnership with what do you call it, Haptel. I am pretty sure that I would still be in business and I wouldn't have to sit by at the teller point just waiting to give money to someone, which in the next 6 to 8 months, nobody is really going to do that. So I think that that's the way to go. People need to start orienting themselves, getting themselves in that pace where they know that if I'm a teacher, can I start learning about online learning tools so that I can be able to introduce my students to it? If I want to set up I want to be extra classes. Can I get a site that I can do videos of particular topics? Because look, it doesn't make sense teaching trigonometry every day. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Whilst I can just teach it once, video myself, put it on a platform, people can just watch it, and then I can only be there to explain things to people. Simple conversation. You get the point. So people don't necessarily need to lose their jobs. They just need to position themselves to look into the future. And I think that that's one thing that Chinese have actually been able to do. They don't do PR. So if you don't hear them talking about their technologies and other things, me, I keep saying that Chinese can't live in Ghana because the level of technology and advancement in China. If I live in China and I come to Ghana, like the very first time I had to come back to Ghana, it took me like close to like 2 months to really adjust because I realized that there were simple things we could have just been doing. If I'm going to the station, what do you call it? And I'm using an app like Hapto. I keep using that app. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no
That's more
problem,
like
man.
now, if I'm going to the Church station, okay, if I get to Circle, there's a big station there. Now, can we have a simple QR code? That is just by the car. If I just scan, I enter the car. I scan, I enter the car. Is that too difficult? I don't need to wait for the mate to say yes, 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 and be taking coins and things. You get the point.
Yeah.
I just use an app. MTN has an app now. Vodafone has an app now. All of them are QR code compliant. They can just scan a simple QR code and move into the bus. I don't need to now take money out of my pocket, give it to the mate. Charlie, it's a lot
Can
of
you tell?
stress
Yeah.
with simple technology where my mother doesn't need to know anything. She just can know that I have 50 CDs in my bank, my mobile money wallet, and I scan and I pay. That is not so difficult when we able to take. So I think that's one thing too that I really like about the Chinese. They do a lot of education, and so all our NCCEs and all this Ministry of Communication and other things should be looking at new ways of communicating technology to the citizenry. If there's a simple program on GTV, on some of those TV stations, instead of this Kunkumbagia, they'll be showing us just 30 minutes about
Kumbaja.
like yeah, instead of showing Kunkumbagia, just one tool. You get the point. Just showing every time showing people that you're able to use this tool. It's effective. You can use it like this. I'm sure we wouldn't be printing money in the next month. You get the point. The economy
Yeah.
will be stable. A market woman, if you go to the market woman, I went to a village in China, and that place they call village, that's like their most remote places like Kumasi. Now, you know what they do?
What? You're saying a village, the most remote village in China is like Kumasi.
Yeah, it's just like Kumasi. Now, there's the thing. They have they have the QR codes hanging on their necks. They are not holding phones, so they are having the QR code hanging on their necks. Are you getting it? So if you
Uh-huh.
buy anything, you use your app to scan and you go. With the guy knowing that he's not going to hold money, but his money is secured in the Ali wallet. Simple. You get the
Interesting.
point.
Yeah.
Simple. It looks like Ghana dear, but COVID by let me speak fancy kakra. COVID by obi atena fie video call. Obi atena fie your friends a meeting online. You
Mm-hmm.
get the point. You don't need to be pushed to the line to implement certain technology. If our leaders are really thoughtful of us, they would be. And I've seen a significant effort that's been pushed in by the government to make sure that technology all over. But I think it has to be synchronized. They need to be proper consultation with the citizenry. We don't have to think, say, Ali Pay is doing payment in there. So let's go and bring Alipay to Ghana. We will kill Ghanaian businesses. We can get
Mm-hmm.
Ghanaians to do these same solutions, and that will be beneficial to us Ghanaians. You get up on their proper e-commerce, what you call it, solutions in Ghana. I've seen a lot of e-commerce solutions in the sector of agri, in the sector of fashion, in the sector of a lot. And these solutions can be pushed here in Ghana. You get the point. And we need to
Yeah.
change our mindsets. That's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah. I
thing. We
mean,
just need to change.
yeah, I was really interested when you mentioned a point about AI, taking people's jobs and all. But I mean, for me, this period and the effect of COVID-19 in this season, like for me, this period is like an opportunity for everybody to stand up and upgrade themselves. Like everybody needs to develop their skill sets and make sure that they are going to be relevant in the next couple of years. Because yeah, this COVID-19 is basically letting us peer a little bit into the future, because in a few years to come, that is actually how things are going to be, because we are going to be heavily reliant on technology and these automated processes and AI to do all these things. And um, well, I read an article, right, by the vice chancellor of the University of Johannesburg, and he was saying that now in their university they are teaching AI as a compulsory course in the university. And
Yeah,
I think that it's a very good step, because no matter what industry you're in, whether you're into fashion, whether you're into retail, whether you're into sports and whatnot, the world is moving and the future is also coming. And so you need to
yeah,
study, these advancing, technologies, to know how you can apply them in your field. Right? So I mean, when it comes to marketing, for example, we are fast moving away. In fact, we've moved away from the traditional marketing techniques of billboards and flyers and what. And right now, it's social media that's really moving the marketing scheme. And when it has
exactly.
come to light, especially in this time, like you have a situation where you are restricted when it comes to movements, and you can't hold physical meetings or physical services anymore. And so basically, churches, businesses, everybody just basically has to adjust. Workers alike, students as well. And I understand right now, students in Ghana are really struggling, because there really isn't, good platforms for e-learning that have been made by the various universities. my dad my dad was a registrar at University of Ghana, so I'm just being careful here. But yeah, I mean, they're struggling. They're struggling. They're literally struggling, and because the systems are not in place. And so, the quicker that institutions are able to develop these solutions, the better for everyone. And yeah, Henry, can you just touch on this a little bit? What do you think of these?
Yeah. I think I've made this point over and over again. I'll still repeat it. It's back to our mindset. Okay. So I had two friends who got University of Ghana. So University of Ghana relatively is running on some e-learning platform for distance learning projects, right? And
Mm-hmm.
my sister is on business administration, and then she's doing the distance. So I basically had access to that platform to explore and see how it is. And I think that it's a bit okay for the distance. I think it's just rubbing in the, I don't know, but maybe rubbing in the whole regular student online has been the challenge. But for the distance learning people, it has been a smooth sort of, they understand the process and everything. And it will surprise you that the two friends I had who I recommended that they go in to have the distance learning from University of Ghana said no. They want to go to class every day. It starts with the mindset. Okay, and that's why I was calling on some of these educational bodies and we the tech enthusiasts to be relatively looking at ways where we can start getting people to understand how business is. So we launched a platform, a freelancer platform, simple communication, sit home and work from home. Now, we pitched that idea to like six different recruitment companies, and they were like, this is not how things are done here, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a funny experience where they are thinking that people bring in their CVs, they sort out the CVs, and then they are able to get them an employment, and then they get a percentage of that. That's their business line. Now, I only just told one of them that, look, what we're building is just going to just get you out of business in the next 2 years. You're going to have no job in particular, because the people that we're going to bring on board are going to do, the platform is just going to do so much of what you can't do. So the platform can basically just take the information of everybody, um, including where you've schooled, what you've done before, your portfolio and everything, and assign you to jobs when the jobs come in. Now you can make money out on the go. Now we just launched this platform just like 2 months, and we've had close to like 1,700 freelancers being on there. That's a lot of people coming to us to say, I need a job. I need a job. You're getting the point. And our point is sit home, work, make money. You can have social security in place for you. You can have insurance in place for you whilst you work from home. Just yesterday, somebody had a job on the platform, a branding job, 8,000 Ghana cedis. Somebody wanted an animation, and the person is taking like 700 cedis for that animation job. Like 700 cedis to just do an animation in 2 hours. Now, I know you have guys sitting in the office and working their hours off, and they're just being paid 600 cedis, 500 cedis just to develop funeral posters and other things. These jobs, when these guys realize that there's a platform that gives them opportunity to start making money when they're sitting home, trust me, they will jump onto it. And that would be the way to go. So it starts with our mindset, how we get to sensitize people to understand that there is a particular trend where we don't need to have crises like these things. I'm sure people should even learn from this crisis. Now everybody is doing video calls and all that, just trying to get work to be done. You know, I know a lot of I called a lot of what do you call it? Courier service company, and I told them that, you know what, it's better off to have an application that is able to map out your location as to deliveries. Okay, because in Ionepa, if there's a delivery that comes in, is the closest biker that we're going to assign to the person who is having the product to pick up. So you'll be a courier service with Ionepa. You might not have a job, not because we don't want to give you a job. It's because AI is what is assigning the bikers to do the pickups based on their close proximity. You get the point. Now everybody is just jumping on the business of courier service. Everybody wants to own a bike and do delivery. But you'd realize that a company like Uber basically can just outsmart all of us by just deploying just a very smart tool. So it starts with us being, I don't know how to put it, but our mindset to technology and the changes that is coming in. And then the second thing would have been that we should start building smart solutions. You see, when we build solutions, one thing I've realized with the community again is that we build solutions because we've seen those solutions implemented outside. Now, when I came from Ali, I basically had to sit down and revamp my whole business model. And then I realized I was now becoming a Chinese business model. And I said, no, this is Ghana. Like, the way you get to get something in Abosukai is different from the way you will get, there's a different dynamic.
Like a drone will deliver your package for you in China, right? In Shanghai.
Charlie, but a drone to deliver in my south. Yeah, so different dynamics. And I looked at it and I said, no, let me build solutions that will fit my local industry, the ones that affects that tailor that is showing, because that tailor, the tailors here, they want their money when they give you the thing. You're getting the point. In China, they can even use a credit score and know that, okay, so far as I'm delivering something, I'm going to get my money in the next in the next 5 days. So even with that credit score, they can even use that proper credit score to purchase stuff from the market. So if you're going to go according to their business plans and everything, we're going to make a big mistake. We should develop solutions that best fit the locals, the people that are here, and if not, Charlie, we will just be doing so much work but wouldn't be having the effect. Because if now everybody is doing mobile money. Mobile money is ours. Go and tell people to do MasterCard. I realized that last year MasterCard was so vibrant with advertisement in Ghana, and it couldn't hit it because ours is mobile money. My mother would do mobile money. You get it? My mom would do mobile money. That is our solution. So if that is our solution, let's push our solution bigger and harder. You get the point. Build more solutions around that, and then we can go. But if we just want to deploy things just because it is working in other jurisdiction, it might not work for us. Something that the ordinary cocoa farmer will know that me do cocoa na met you 50 Ghana cedis to mobile money. Pepe na ba. Imagine sika. So what you say. So it's
Those times.
more of education and mindset. Those times, mobile money used to be that it's can toss one sika, but now you know we have to
People
now
people
even
actually
encourage that.
saving and all that, right? People
Yeah,
actually using
you need
that
to
as their
encourage.
bank account, more or less, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so you're basically um, making the unbankable bankable through mobile money. So people in
exactly.
the rural areas and all can have like bank accounts, but not in a bank sitting in Accra or Kumasi or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah. Because if we're going to build PayPal kind of solutions, me one thing I told Haptel and the other payment companies was that encourage people to make payment using these platforms and not to withdraw the money out, because withdrawing the money out is a whole lot of stress. I should be able to pay the church or driver, the taxi driver. By now, taxis should be taking Mumu. By now, taxis should be taking Mumu. You know,
yeah,
we've really gone past that. So it's more education. So me sometimes when I get involved with people, I tell them that look, technology is not the PC. I'm a family PC no siminim na Charlie me person me a geek. It doesn't do anything. You know, I tell my developers that when we are building our solution, let's build the solution in such a way that it fits the person that wants to use it. Because if somebody gets into a chat on Skillmind and says, I want a job, the person wants a job. So sometimes I tell them, call them, let them take 5 minutes of their time to take time and fill their profile online, and they are going to be linked up with proper jobs. Ubi also page man so about na PC who are fairly simple for money. A page man and will now get somebody to do the CV for him. You
yeah.
know, you get the point. You
it's
get
it's just
him to
it's
do the
just
CV
bad.
for you. Exactly. So it's a lot of effort where I mean, instead of insulting ourselves and other things, we the elite, look, if all the elite make, we decide, let's say the tech industry, and I was talking about tech industry and somebody was saying Deaf Congress. If Deaf Congress, which has close to like 500 members, decide that every Tuesday they'll make a Tech Tuesday and they will let it trend on Twitter, you'll be amazed the kind of education we will give to people. Let's just
Yeah,
get it trending every Tuesday. Let us be on social media. Let's pick up a topic. Are you getting the point? Let's pick up a
yeah,
topic. Let's just trend the topic. You'll be amazed how we would transform the industry in 6 months, taking Tuesday of every day. But Charlie Tech industry, all we just know is that I will buy nice iPhones, go online, and then all the trends. We try to be sarcastic with trends, and then we go. I don't think that it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
way to go.
I mean, I think that that's a really good point you're making there, and that's one of the things I'm trying to establish myself in terms of branding and as an expert in the field. And so basically, everybody has to put themselves out there. You can't just be sitting
Yeah,
behind your laptop coding and assume that everybody will know that, like, know your capabilities and know what you're doing. So I decided to also come out, create a YouTube channel, do more publicity on the the conversations I'm making with people and also the things that I'm doing personally. And so I would encourage, everybody in the tech industry. I know coders, we just like to be behind our machines and code and not so sociable, if I should put it that way. But then it's high time that developers, especially in Ghana, make themselves known, because trust me, Ghanaian developers and Ghanaians generally have a lot of talent. But then
yeah,
it's not really showing forth in the kind of money that developers are getting, or the kind of jobs that developers are getting. And you know um at least I think just a few months ago, Ivy Bali, who is the founder of is it
yeah,
this coding group for girls, right? Forgotten the name.
yeah.
Developers in Vogue or
Yeah.
something. Forgot.
Developers
Sorry,
involved. Yeah, he
yeah,
gets
that's it.
to
And I
yeah.
think Edem Kumoji as well. They are
Oh
both
yeah,
working in Microsoft right now as program
yeah. They're
managers.
doing good.
And yeah, they are
Yeah,
doing good, and I believe so many Ghanaians can be hitting jobs in Google, Apple, and whatnot. But then I think we are not putting ourselves out there, and that's one of the challenges that we have. We are very skilled, but we are not putting ourselves out there. Um,
Yeah,
and it's not
that's
only with tech. It's not only with tech, but other industries as well. Whether you're in retail, sales and whatnot, you should put yourself out there. Yeah. So
yeah.
Henry, all too soon we've gone past the hour mark. I think we'll have to bring this session to an end. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone also. Sorry, thanks Henry as well, right, for coming into this show today. So my viewers, I would like you to just give your comments right now. Just express how much you enjoy the program. Tell me where you're viewing from. Let's just see the comments flowing in. And in the meantime, Henry, you can just give your final words under a minute, and then we'll wrap up this session.
Yeah. So I think that my earliest point basically was that we the industry people should be able to push first the project that we should be able to be early adopters of these projects and should be able to show these projects. We should make loud noise about it. We the tech industry should have a conscious. We should make a deliberate effort in pushing projects that are there, and then we should be looking forward to a bigger future, not just simple things, but or simple applications that just seems to just be fancy, but real time projects that solves simple solutions in our community, simple solutions in our country. And I think that that would be better for us. It takes a conscious effort. China had been in this conscious state for a long time before they are now breaking out. I am pretty sure they understand this because they've been through that cycle. Now this is our very first cycle of just experiencing COVID. I know a lot of people are building solutions just for the COVID. Look forward to a bigger future. How are we going to do mass production of some of these shields and things that we're doing? We should be out there where we're looking at an enhanced, health system, agri system, tech industry. Tech is just one out of many, but it's just an enabler. So how do we get to enhance or use these things to build ourselves? I think it will be a way to go. We have a lot of potential, Charlie. Ghana, we get a lot of people. If you see how people code there, you'll be amazed. People do a lot of coding, but I always tell people that on ground it's like 70%. Your code is just 30%, but on
Yeah.
ground it's 70%. So we need to look at the bigger picture, build solutions to fit us, and we should be building this country better than anything.
All right. Once again, thanks a lot, Henry. It's been a very insightful conversation. So I think we'll wrap up the show for today. Thanks everyone for joining. Now, if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and also hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I stream. So I'm going to be doing this weekly. So you should join me next week on this segment, the Tech Confab show. I'm not only going to be talking with tech experts, I'll be talking with various people from various fields, medical doctors, other scientists, various people on this show, but it's still going to be related to tech and how we can use technology to impact our society. So thanks everyone for joining today, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.